Welcome in another week at Transylvania basketball with Brian Lane, and the weeks are winding down here. Not a lot of time left in this season.
They are, and now the tournament time's getting upon us. And one of the things that we noticed this week, when the weather gets a little warmer, you know, that you start to get that feel. It's time for the Sweet 16. It's time for the conference tournaments, and then obviously the NCAA tournament. There's nothing better than practicing postseason there when the weather's warm and you're not having to put your sweats on to get to the gym. With this year's conference tournament having 6 teams instead of last year's 4, I think that's really gotten our conference energized a little bit.
Does it take the pressure off of you? I mean, I guess it takes the pressure off a little bit knowing that more teams are getting in, but did you like that a little more, a little sense of urgency with your team knowing you had to be in a top 4?
It did. I think one of the things that it does for you is it allows you to not zero in on where every single game. The problem is with our league, and we'll see the standings a little later. I mean, one game is separating a lot of people, and the parity in our league this year again is you know just this past week with 8 beating 2 and actually Defiance losing to the 8th team in the conference who beat the top 10 team in the country earlier in the year. It's just amazing the way our conference works, and going on the road and getting key road games is always difficult.
This week you had a home game, a road game. We're going to see both those highlights a little bit later, and also we're going to show you some highlight clips from the first half of the season. But before we do go to break, what do you want to see your team improve upon as they get closer to the end of this season?
Well, one of the things that we did after the Anderson game was we decided to try and give them a plan and an outline of what we needed to do from that point to the end of the season. And one of the first things, and we did it offensively and defensively. So one of the first things that we talked about was our turnovers, about taking care of the basketball. Our rebounding has been such that we'll get to the ball a lot, but won't get the rebound, and just trying to rebound stronger. So every day we're giving them something new and different, and hopefully it's going to be a building block and a stepping stone right to the conference tournament and hopefully a conference championship.
All right, we got a win and a loss to talk about, as we said. Plenty more still to come here on Transylvania basketball with Brian Lane. He owes a lot of those field goals to you. I know he wouldn't have had 288 without you.
He was one of those players that did a wonderful job of being able to create his own shot, but that year I did lead us in assists simply because of that.
It's like a chicken or the egg question. The guy that made the pass or the guy that made the shot? Who's more valuable?
He wasn't the guy that got on the ball. Jeff ended up being the MVP of the Kentucky-Indiana All-Star Series. Both games, when it was here in Kentucky and then when it went up to, that was the year that Indiana had 2. They had the co-MVPs, or the co-Mr. Basketballs. Jeff was not Mr. Basketball, but was the most valuable player for both games.
Did Jeff, not in attendance, I don't think, although you had a reunion of sorts recently.
We had the alumni game on Saturday, so it was a big turnout.
Speaking of Saturday, the Rose-Hulman highlights here as we get a look at that game. And I know you're wearing the sneakers like a lot of college coaches wore that day.
We did. The National Association of Basketball Coaches and their initiative was Coaches versus Cancer always set aside one day to get that message out. And it's always good to do that.
Look at the highlights here, getting some penetration here early on in the game.
Rose-Hulman is a team that is a dangerous team. We played Franklin on Wednesday. They had swept Franklin during the course of the year. We went up there in Terre Haute, beautiful arena, and got up big, and then they cut it all the way down to 2. Here, we were expecting, really a tough game, and our preparation for this game was a little different. We kind of challenged our guys a little bit to get back to Transylvania basketball, playing at home, having lost 3 in a row, and alumni being back. And so we put our alumni in our nice locker room, and we took our guys. And the bad thing about
it's a nice way of saying you kicked him out of the locker room.
Yeah, but
the
bad thing about kicking them out of your locker room, the locker room we go into is better than any locker room in the country. it's one of the best ones in the country.
Sure.
And that's what they had to move to. We still had cable TV, still had beautiful light.
They're not going from the penthouse to the outhouse at that point.
No, it was a penthouse. They're just moving down a floor. That's all they were doing. Tim Tierney had a good solid game. He had 22 points, and you can see Matthew Parton there, who's been leading us in scoring in the conference schedule.
He had 19 in this game.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because Joey Varac's there. You can see on defense with the guy when he pulls up. But Joey, he only had 2 points in this game, and he only had 4 in the Franklin game. Blake has started to pick up a lot of the scoring inside. Not so sure, and we've tried to study the tape why Joey hasn't been able to get those. He's been getting shots. Part of it's he's not posting up nearly as hard as Blake is, so that ends up getting Blake more opportunities.
And Blake hitting the outside shot there, that's a new part of his game, really.
He's over 70% from the field in conference and leading the conference handedly in field goal percentage. But good. Rose-Hulman's a team that's dangerous. They like to really drive the ball. Our defense, I thought, in this game was very, very good. We took away the penetration. We were able to help and recover like we talk about a lot of times. There you see good penetration and passing around, and in this game you saw open jump shots, and we are very, very good when you get open jump shots there. Aaron Cash getting to the rim as well.
All is up to a victory for you. Probably one a little bit easier, I think, than you expected in this one.
It was. Knowing up there that they had cut it back from a double-digit lead all the way back down to 2, and Blake McCowan had to make 2 free throws late in the game, we were expecting a very, very difficult. I was very happy with the way our guys responded. I mean, we said we needed to get something back. We went into the game talking about the things that we could control, not whether the shots were falling, but how we handled the defense, how we handled the rebounding, things that we could control, and that was the theme. And I was pleased that we had over 50 alums back to the game and had a great reception, and they enjoyed seeing some of the old highlight tapes up in the Hall of Fame room and all the old pictures around. So overall, it was a great day for the Pioneers.
Great day on Saturday. We got one more game still to look at. We're going to introduce you to a member of the Pioneers who you haven't met yet if you've been watching the show, and plenty more still to come here in this edition of Transylvania Basketball with Brian Lang. Well, you had never lost at Franklin, so you had to like your chances going into the midweek game.
We did, and the Grizzly Dome, as we like to affectionately call it, has been kind to us. We were 6-0 against Franklin up there, and then we won the conference title last year at the same gym. So that made us a combined 8-0, so we felt pretty good going
Perhaps
into the game.
A false sense of security as we look at the highlights in this one.
One of the things, and there's not a whole lot of highlights in this one. We went through and the tape wasn't running for the first 2 buckets, so when you eliminate those 2, but it makes
there's only 11 left after that.
It is, and as well as we responded for the Rose-Hulman game, we came in and just did not perform at all. And the disappointing thing is, and again, we'll see in the standings, we're fighting for a conference title and just did not respond at all. You're seeing some open shots, but in the first time that we played them, we were driving it to the ball. We were being aggressive. We didn't even get into the bonus in the first half. We weren't posting up hard. We weren't doing all the things that we can control, like we talked about.
Well, and rebounding is one of the things you talk about, and you got crushed on the boards.
Absolutely, and there were three times where it got down, where the shot clock went off, and they got the rebound, and that just really puts we talked about time of possession, and it's not, you don't hear that very often in basketball terms, but at the half, it was clearly probably because they were so patient, and you see that last play there where they're passing around and really make the extra pass and get a wide open shot. They probably had it 13, 14 minutes of the